You know, I'll never forget the look on my granddaughter's face last summer. She just told me about her first breakup, and there she was, this bright, brave girl, asking me, "Grandma, did your heart ever get broken too?" And here's what hit me. Our grandkids aren't just curious about our love stories. They need to hear about our heartbreaks, the ones that knocked us sideways, made us question everything, and somehow taught us how to live. Today, we're talking about why your first heartbreak isn't just a memory. It's a gift, one that'll help your grandkids navigate their own messy, magnificent lives. We'll walk through 3 lessons to share, and I promise you don't need to be a poet or a therapist to do it. Just you. Let's start with the first. Take this ticket. 1967, the Rolling Stones. I'd saved up waitressing tips for months to go with my first love, Charlie. 2 days before the concert, he took another girl. I cried into my pillow for a week. But then, I went anyway. Sat in that arena alone, surrounded by strangers screaming satisfaction, and realized I didn't need Charlie to enjoy my life. That's the lesson your grandkids need. Heartbreak isn't a full stop. It's a comma. Share how you kept going, how you danced anyway, laughed anyway, found joy in spite of the ache. Tell them about the friends who showed up with ice cream, the hobby you threw yourself into, the way you learned to love your own company. And here's a trick. Use something tangible. A ticket stub, a song, even that hideous sweater you wore for weeks after the breakup. Hand it to them and say, "This is what survival looks like." My first heartbreak, his name was Paul. He had a laugh like a car engine and a habit of forgetting our dates. One night, I waited 3 hours outside a diner in the rain. When he finally showed, I said nothing. It took me years to realize I'd traded my worth for crumbs of attention. But your grandkids, they don't have to wait. This was Paul's apology gift. I wear it now to remind myself, never shrink to fit someone else's pockets. Tell your grandkids about the moments you settled and how you stopped. Show them the locket, the letters, the bad poetry you shouldn't have forgiven. Say, you deserve someone who stays in the rain with you. Now, I know what you're thinking. But what if it's too personal? What if they don't understand? Let me tell you, last month, my grandson asked if he could borrow that concert ticket. Said he wanted to frame it next to his college diploma. Turns out, his first crush had just ghosted him. He didn't need a lecture. He needed proof that someone he admires survived the same storm. And that's the magic of your story. It's not about the heartbreak. It's about the life that grew around it. You know, after we last talked, I dug out these old letters, the ones I wrote to my best friend after that diner disaster with Paul. Reading them now, I cringe at how dramatic I was. "My life is over," I scribbled in purple ink. "I'll never love again." But here's what my grandkids noticed when I showed them. Every few letters, the tone changed. Less about Paul, more about me. The pottery class I joined. The road trip I planned. The way I started saying no to people who didn't deserve my yes. And that brings us to our third lesson, the one your grandkids might need most of all. Last year, my 16-year-old grandson Max got dumped via text. "It's whatever, Grandma," he shrugged, trying so hard to play it cool. So I showed him this. I told him about the time I cried over Paul, then started a book club that's still running 40 years later. About the college sweetheart who broke my heart, and how that pain led me to volunteer abroad, where I met his grandpa. Your grandkids aren't just hearing about your pain. They're seeing the path, how heartbreak carved rivers that led to oceans. How every ending planted seeds for a fiercer, wiser beginning. So here's how to share this, map it out. Literally. Grab a napkin, a scrap of paper, anything. Draw your highs and lows. Circle the moments where heartbreak redirected you. Then say, "See this dip? That's where I learned to swim." When Max saw my timeline, he stayed quiet for a long time. Then he grabbed the chalk and added his own dip right after his breakup. Labeled it, "Where I learned to stop pretending." That's when it hit me. Our stories don't just teach resilience. They give permission to be human. To hurt, heal, and hand that hard-won wisdom forward. You know, I used to think my heartbreaks were just mine. Private battles fought in quiet corners. But then my grandson Max hung that chalk timeline in his bedroom. And my granddaughter Lily started texting me her heartbreak survival tips, complete with emojis. Turns out, our scars don't just guide them. They heal us too. The unspoken lesson, heartbreak isn't just about romance. Maybe your first heartbreak wasn't a sweetheart. Maybe it was a friendship that crumbled, a dream that dissolved, or a version of yourself you outgrew. That story matters just as much. Take this jersey. I wore it the year I got cut from the basketball team. A heartbreak that felt like the end of the world. But quitting sports led me to the library, which led me to journalism, which led me to write the love letter that won over my husband. Your grandkids need to know. Heartbreak wears many faces. And every one of them can be a teacher. They heal us too. Maybe your first heartbreak wasn't a sweetheart. Maybe it was a friendship that crumbled, a dream that dissolved, or a version of yourself you outgrew. That story matters just as much. Take this jersey. I wore it the year I got cut from the basketball team. A heartbreak that felt like the end of the world. But quitting sports led me to the library, which led me to journalism, which led me to write the love letter that won over my husband. Your grandkids need to know. Heartbreak wears many faces. And every one of them can be a teacher. You don't need a grand speech. Start with a sticky note on the fridge. A text with a throwback photo. This was me at 19. I thought I'd never smile again. Spoiler, I did. Or try this. Next family dinner, go around the table and ask everyone, to share a heartbreak that made me stronger. You'll be stunned what your grandkids reveal when you go first. Last week, Max brought home his first college report card, all A's. At the bottom, he'd written, "Thanks for teaching me that F's in love don't mean F's in life." That's the legacy we're building. Not perfect stories, but true ones. Ones where they see your cracks and learn how the light got in. So here's my challenge. This week, share one heartbreak chapter. A sentence, a song, a sappy poem you thought you buried. Then, and this is the best part, come back here and tell us what happened. Did they laugh, cry, roll their eyes, then hug you tighter? And if you're thinking, but what if I mess up? Oh, darling, you will. I've tripped over my own stories more times than I can count. But that's how they know we're real. Hit subscribe, will you? Let's keep untangling these messy, beautiful stories together. Because the world doesn't need more perfect grandparents. It needs more human ones.